What's up, guys? Welcome to today's video. It's a new one right there. Um, Today we're gonna talk about Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, and in the end, you're gonna know my final prediction about the fight, which is happening next week, 26th of April. First of all, we're gonna talk about the history, why those two has a bad blood between one another and their fathers as well. Then why the first fight was postponed, and then we're gonna talk about the tactics, which means uh, their weaknesses, their strengths, their styles. Then we're gonna compare to one another. Finally, you guys gonna know my prediction, and yeah, that's gonna be right it. So without further ado, let's jump right straight into it, and I hope you guys gonna have a lot of fun. So let's talk about the history, right? So first of all, their dads actually had two fights between one another, and it was back then in the days, and they both were great fighters. And Chris Eubank Sr. Fought Nigel Benn, and in the first fight, Chris Eubank Sr. actually won, and the second fight was a draw. And since the second fight was a draw, and some thought Nigel Benn won, some thought Chris Eubank Sr. won, it was a tight fight, then it's like unfinished business, right? So basically, it passed on to their sons, Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, and both of them are defending their names, and it's gonna be the final showdown, let's say. So basically, that's why there's bad blood between one another, because there was a bad blood between the fathers. And yeah, that's the history of the bad blood. And if you're new to boxing and you don't know there's why is it so heated, so basically now you know, right? And now their sons are having a fight, which is pretty awesome on the other hand, right? So yeah, why was the first fight postponed? It's due to Conor Benn actually being positive while being drug tested. So he was positive while being drug tested, and then he had a suspension for 2 years, and I think it was 2 years. And since then, I think he had one fight or so. So he wasn't really that active after he came back from the retirement. So yeah, basically that's it. That's why the fight wasn't happening till now. And now we have on our hands a big fight that's happening next week, right? So let's talk about Chris Eubank Jr. right now. So let's start from the get-go, from the beginning. So he was trained by his father, Chris Eubank Sr. from the beginning. He was taught to be brawler as his father, right? Throwing haymakers. I mean, of course, putting nice combinations together, but mainly offense is the defense. And as he was progressing, moving on, obviously he was getting a lot of KOs, he was winning, and then he was fighting Billy Joe Saunders, and he gave him his first loss. And yeah, Billy Joe is a former champion that lost only to Canelo Alvarez, and he was great on his feet, Billy Joe, and throwing nice jab and getting out of the way. So for Chris, whose feet were, well, not the greatest, head movement as well, not the greatest. But yeah, he was relying on his punches, his strength, and fast combination. But it didn't work out, so he lost. Therefore, after a few fights, he changed his trainer and started training with Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones just changed his style to, well, basically, he was fighting almost like Roy Jones Jr., doing a lot of stuff that he does, but he put a little bit of his flavor into it, right? So to make it a little bit of like his style as well. And so he went from having a bad footwork to having great footwork, great head movement. He became a great counter puncher. He has a great timing and beautiful jab. He's fighting with hands a little bit too low for my liking. But as I said, it's the Roy Jones Jr. style. He's throwing jabs from the waist as Roy Jones Jr. or legend the Hitman, and so he's throwing it from the waist. Even though he's throwing it from the waist, it still can be a powerful jab because he knocked down a few of his oppositions and also is a great reach finder. So he can do it all. He can change the jabs as he wants to, and he's very unpredictable. He can feint very well, almost as Roy Jones Jr., using his shoulder as well for the feint, mainly for the jab, right? Because that's the main weapon in the beginning of the fight, to find his reach, to disrupt the rhythm of his opponent and stuff like that. Now, his other strength, Chris Eubanks Jr.'s, is his uppercut, and we could say that everything coming from the right hand, from the uppercut to the hook to the cross, even the body shots. But the strongest one of them all is the uppercut. With the uppercut, he put a lot of his opposition to the canvas and he made a lot of knockouts. It started mainly when he was training with Roy Jones Jr. because he changed his style and he likes to put that jab to the body and then go up with the uppercut and yeah, or time it when the opponent is coming to him. So this is his greatest punch. The uppercut is the most dangerous one, but what takes him around the world is the jab. What we cannot neglect is his head movement and throwing punches off the movement of his head. So when he slips, he can put a combination together very well and find those places where he can punch and put his opponent down. Well, now of course it has its downsides. When your hands are too low, you're basically relying on his on your feet, head movement, being able to see the punches and trying to predict them. Well, since his blocking with his hands, blocking punches is not the greatest, and he doesn't use it that often, then he's really relying on those three. And when he's on the back foot and he's in danger of getting knocked out, then and only then he goes to high guard. So we could saw that in the Lime Smith fight, the first one, where he got knocked out, I think, or it was stopped by a referee, not sure now. And yeah, so there he was in the corner because Lime Smith was pressure fighting. He has nice technique in his punches and he's very powerful as well. And when he was in the corner, he was trying to dodge the punches, but as he was dodging, he went to a shot and then he covered up but got uppercut, uppercut. He got uppercut in his face. He got uppercut in his face. That's what happened. And yeah, so and from then he lost. But the second fight he won. He was on his game plan. He was using the jab. He was on his feet, and dropped Lime Smith. I think with uppercut and with jab as well. I'm not sure now if the fight was ended prematurely by knockout or not. Not sure now, but I think it did. I mean, now I'm talking about the weaknesses, so let's just sum it up. His biggest weakness is not being able to block punches like super well. He can block them, and he can block them, and he can put combinations out of them, but he doesn't do it very often, and he doesn't block punches very often as well. His high guard is pretty weak, not that strong, and his hands are in some occasions too low when they shouldn't be. So now let's talk about Conor Benn. So Conor Benn is a aggressive pressure fighter, and he's very smart. As a pressure fighter, he is smart as well. He can set up his KO punches very well, and other than that, he's able to feint very, very nicely. I mean, obviously, the feints are very important for the setup for the KO punch, right? Because you can see, you can download what your opponent is doing, what he's up to, what are his weaknesses, what he does when you jab or stuff like that. So that's why he's feinting a lot and he's feinting very hard and he's dropping his body as well. Only by dropping his body, that's his feint just from the get-go. Why? Because from dropping his body, he can go up and or go down as well. And as we can see, he's able to KO from dropping your body and then going up. Since it is a feint, some people can drop their hands when he feints down. Conor Benn has a strong jab, and that's why when he's jabbing, he jabs to the body and he puts a lot of power in it. When jabbing to the head, he jabs to the head very hard as well, but he can do 2 or 3 jabs in a row just to set up a combination or a hard punch. And since he's jabbing to the body and using cross as well, he's doing it for setting up for the KO punch to the head, and that's what he does most of the time. When he's on mid range to close range, he's changing the levels of punches very, very well. I mean, his drills on if you have ever seen on TikTok, or on Instagram, even on YouTube, that's what he drills. He drills the short range and close range combinations, going to the head and to the body, to the body, to the head, and rolling out of the way, or blocking, or going away with the feet, stepping away, and then going back with 1-2 or something like that. So basically, that's what he does. That's what he's best at, right? So yeah, I mean, jab and his overhand is his go-to combination. He dropped a lot of people with it, and overhand and a cross, his best punch. But as you can see, when he goes body head or head body with a lead hand, it's very fast, but he's loading on the punch with his body very well, very nicely, and still he's being tight. Even though when we go to a fight, sometimes, not every single time, he opens up and he's open to counter. And sometimes his feet, most of the time later in the round, are starting to slow down, and he starts to fall over and reach with the punches. And that's when he is vulnerable for a counter or potential knockdown or a knockout from Chris, maybe. Who knows? But those are his weaknesses. Later in the round, his feet are starting to slow down because in the beginning he's very explosive. He's one of the most explosive guys I know. His feet are explosive, his punches as well. But in the later rounds, his feet are slowing down, maybe too much, and it's a big difference between the beginning and later in the round. It's not like constant, but it's like from here to there to going down. Also, sometimes he neglects his jab, and when he starts doing that, that's the moment when he's coming for the punches and then getting hit unnecessarily, because he's not going for the combination with the jab, starting with the jab. Relying only on power punches is not that great, because sometimes you telegraph, right? Or it's easier to dodge or block the hard punches because you can see it, right? On the other hand, when you're throwing light and strong punches or changing the tempo, then you can catch your opponent off guard. But as we all know, Conor Benn didn't fight that tough opposition as Chris Eubank did. We'll see in a fight night, coming fight night, what's gonna happen and what Conor Benn will bring to the table. I think it's gonna be all just pressure fighting, because I mean he can fight backwards. Conor Benn, he's able to, and he can move on his feet as well, but he's not that good as going forward. So what I would suggest, if I was the trainer, which I'm not, is going forward and being the pressure fighter and try to start the action or make Chris Eubank Jr. do a mistake. So that's for the Conor Benn. And just one more thing, let's not neglect that Conor Benn is very good at throwing punches and going to defense, rolling and going to blocking punches right away. So that's one of his strengths as well. I forgot about that, so just adding it up. That's it. Okay, so guys, let's sum it up. Let's talk about my prediction, and then we're gonna see each other in a next video. You get me? So I think it's gonna be a hard to judge kind of fight. How I see the fight happening is 60-40. 60% going to Chris Eubank favor because of the experience, much more experienced. He was more active, even though not that active, but he was more active than Conor Benn, because Conor Benn didn't fight for a long, long time. And as well, he wasn't on this big stage for a long time as well. Even I don't even know if he was on a stage like this. The main event, a lot of people watching, is gonna be a big factor in this fight as well. Style, it suits more Chris. If he's not gonna do mistakes, not gonna be silly, not gonna be greedy, then I see him win by decision. Well, on the other hand, if Conor Benn is gonna fight tactically well, he's gonna use his jab to the body, he's gonna feint a lot, try to pursue Chris and try to lock him in a corner or so, and then put his combinations, use his feints, use his jab to try to KO Chris Eubank. Because from my personal view, how I see it is that the longer the fight goes, the bigger probability is that Chris Eubank is going to win and take the W with him home. Conor Benn is strongest in the beginning of the fights. Later in the round, he's starting to faint a little because he's depending on his brute force, right? And it takes a lot out of you. So yeah, and Chris Eubank is going to make you miss. Okay, my beloved boxers or the ones who are about to start thanks to this channel maybe, or just are interested in boxing in general, or fights in a fight sport. So that's gonna be it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I love to talk to you about those stuff. Let me know in the comment section below, who do you favor, if Conor Benn or Chris Eubank Jr. I'm just gonna say one more thing, and that what is interesting is that Chris Eubank Jr. is bringing a different trainer. He's bringing Jonathan Banks, I think his name is. Well, anyway, that's gonna be it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. As I said before, please just follow my Instagram if you haven't already. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, and don't forget to click on the notification bell so you know when a new video is coming up. Thank you for the support. I appreciate every single like, subscribe, or comment. So thank you for that, and have a nice one. Enjoy the day. Yeah, you get me. Enjoy and take care. Peace.